Talking pro wrestling, it's Jeremy Cook and Anthony Mosca with SV Squared Circle here at the Sports Vision. Oh, you better believe it. Welcome to SV Squared Circle episode number 2. I am Jeremy Cook, and I am joined by my co-host, all the way from the Great White North, Anthony Mosca. Anthony, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You, Jeremy?
I'm doing great. Love the entrance. Parkway Drive Dark Days off their album Atlas, available on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon. They have a new album coming out relatively soon. I recommend it. Love the band. Let's just get into it. We have a lot to talk about. Elimination Chamber. What we liked, what we didn't like. One match that just stood out above them all. And something that we really needed to talk about for quite some time, but we just started last week, so we haven't had that much time to talk about it. Samoa Joe. WWE and injury news. Monday Night Raw. We have something coming up next week we're going to allude to. Let's get right into it. Elimination Chamber was last Sunday, and as expected, we saw something we didn't expect to see. And it wasn't either of the Elimination Chamber matches, believe you me. First off, before we actually get into the meat of the match, I will say, since Bo Dallas lost, we're not canceled. From now on, however, the button is going to be used for negative connotation, unless previously mentioned. So, the match we're going to talk about the most with Elimination Chamber is Owens and Cena, and these two absolutely tore the place down. They absolutely stole the show. Might have stolen the year, as far as the match of the year considerations are concerned, because I don't know how you beat this. And if you do beat this, I don't want to think about it. I want to be surprised because it's so hard for me to think of something like this. And this has Cena in it. I mean, match of the year with John Cena in it? Really? And I'm a guy who doesn't dislike Cena. Unlike Anthony over there, who can't stand the guy. From a wrestling standpoint. We'll get into why I'm saying it like that later on. But, let's just talk about the match. Kevin Owens wins, and the way he does it, pure brutality. Hits him with everything. 2 pop-up power bombs, not a botched moonsault, a missed moonsault. The thing was a thing of beauty. A package power driver spoof into a thunder bomb, I'll call it that. An attitude adjustment. This guy did everything. He did everything. He did some things better than Cena does them. What was your take on this match? Because this thing is just unbelievable.
Oh man, I honestly don't even know where to start. This match was just phenomenal. This match is definitely a candidate for match of the year. I have nothing negative to say about this match. Both performers were on their game. Cena was on the ball. Kevin was slightly better, I would have to say. Kevin was throwing these moves that some of us have just never seen. He teased the package pile driver, some pop-up power bombs just for the brutality of his figure. He was on the second rope at one moment in the match.
That moment just made me absolutely lose my mind.
Of course, he jumped up off the second rope into a 180 spin onto the third rope, and without even a break, dropped a moonsault.
By the
which
way,
he missed, but
sorry to cut you off there. By the way, Corpus Christi, Texas, I am so sorry to every wrestler who went out there and put on a show for you, because you were tone deaf. No reactions, no oh my god moments, no boos, no cheers. You were just there. And I can't understand why. When you got this pay-per-view out of nowhere, this was a live event 2 weeks ago, and you go to a pay-per-view and you don't cheer? You don't cheer for probably the match of the year. And knowing WWE, it will be the match of the year. I can't believe that they got a pay-per-view of that magnitude. And I'm not saying it because we expected this, but it's what we got. We got a great pay-per-view and one of the worst crowds I've ever had to watch. It was hard to watch. And the next night, Raw in San Antonio, the crowd's fantastic. Learn something, Corpus Christi. Learn. Cheer. Boo. Emote. Those things on your phone, actually use your body to do them. It's not that hard. Apparently for you it is, but I don't know. Okay, so, ignoring that little spiel by me,
Well, it's not really something. It's not really going to that little rant. It's not really something you should ignore because I mean, when you think of
it ruined the
WWE, and you
moment.
think
It
of
ruined the moment.
when
Owens and Cena put on a match that I'll never forget. And the fans, that moonsault, you and I both marked out. And the fans, you couldn't hear them. You heard a pin drop in there. What are they doing there?
I mean, one of the moments. This is going extremely off topic. A moment in WWE that I'll look at on YouTube that gives me literally like goosebumps is when Dolph Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank after WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
I mean, the crowd just absolutely popped, and I felt like I was there. My hair on my arms just lifted up. I was like, oh my god, the crowd's on fire.
That's where
CM Punk
Fandangoing
in
started.
Chicago. Like, I don't know what was wrong with the crowd, and for me, that was a real big turnoff. Besides from that, the match was absolutely fantastic. So many great points. Kevin delivered. John Cena delivered. In the end, Kevin did come out on top, which I find was a perfect match. Something he really needed. He really needed the win. And we're being rewarded with a rematch come Money in the Bank in a few weeks from now.
And unfortunately, we have to move on to talk about other things with the pay-per-view. And speaking of other things with the pay-per-view, I know, and he's giving me the look right now, he beat me with our predictions. Yep, you see the graphic? Yep. You can't see me. I'm giving him the bird. You can't see it, but it's there. Trust me. And speaking of what's there, yeah, that's how I feel right now. And Corpus Christi? Doing it again, Corpus Christi. Get your act together,
For the
Corpus Christi,
record,
Texas.
They deserve that second dong because
They got two.
of how bad that crowd was.
There were 3 gongs, and 2 of them were to Corpus Christi. So we're going to move on and talk about the rest of the pay-per-view. And for a network-exclusive pay-per-view, and we had this debate, because we weren't sure what we were going to get. If we were going to get a subpar pay-per-view that was saying, you get this on the network, or a pay-per-view that had great matches that really wanted you to buy the network. And for somebody who almost did, and then found out June was going to be free, aka me, it was one of those pay-per-views that really was a pleasant surprise. It was something that WWE has done so rarely over the last few months. And I'm not talking about Mania. Rumble was terrible. But matches at pay-per-views that aren't marquee, non-SummerSlam, non-Survivor Series, not WrestleMania, I'll even go to say Extreme Rules. Elimination Chamber was made off I don't know where, 2 weeks ago. It was billed as a live event, and then changed. And we got a really good pay-per-view. We got a very, very, very good pay-per-view. There was not one bad match on this card, and I say that because the match that happened in the pre-show, we had no idea it was happening, and it doesn't count. The worst 2 matches of the night, I'm going to say this, both Elimination Chambers weren't letdowns, but nothing surprising happened in them, in the sense that we didn't see the chamber get used. In the first one, the tag team match, which I really hope is the last tag team Elimination Chamber match we ever see, is just a cluster of nothing. We had teams breaking up other teams' pinfalls. The point of that match is to get the teams out of the matches. And they're keeping them in there. You know, I don't get the point. Kalisto climbing up to the top, and then hanging there for a minute. I get safety. But at the same time, don't do it like that. You kill the moment when you climb all the way to the top, because then you leave us to say, oh, he's just going to drop down, which he did. And you knew when it was happening because everyone in the ring just looks up. Hot potato,
And they
catch.
all held their arms out.
Hot potato, catch. Bo leave into my arms. And, you know, we'll get to Bo leave in a few. But New Day winning didn't surprise me. This is actually the one match that I got right, that Anthony and I had actually chosen differently. And I don't know. I mean, I like the way that they pushed other teams, because you had the Ascension picking up pinfall victories, or eliminations, I should say. You had primetime players get one over Kid and Cesaro. Yeah, Ascension got 2. Los Matadores, I feel like they are the Curtis Axel of the tag team division. If you need someone to get over, you put them against Los Matadores, because they're not going anywhere. It's Primo and Epico with masks. Spoiler alert, everybody. I am sorry if I ruined it, but that is exactly who they are. There's a reason they were rebranded, and it's happened again. But I digress. The New Day picks up the win against primetime players. Kofi Kingston hits Titus O'Neil, Trouble in Paradise, and all 3 members pin Titus O'Neil at the same time. And, there's not much to talk about here. I will say that we will not be seeing Kid and Cesaro for a little bit, and that will come up later on in the show. Speaking of which, if you want to watch or hear my Elimination Chamber review before this video, go to thesportsvision.co, click on Feed, WWE. It will be the first article underneath the page that you are watching this on, and it's my not in-depth review, because that's what we're going to do here, but it's a review of every match, giving it the attention that they deserve. And, on a podcast or a show like this one, it's very hard to do that because we're rapid firing so much. We're going to move on to our high points of Elimination Chamber. My high points are, and there's 3 of them. The match between Owens and Cena is one of them. I'm going to go a little deeper than that. Number 2, the moonsault that Owens hit on Cena was just absolutely flawless. He missed it. It reminds me of Kurt Angle doing every moonsault he's ever done in his career. But that thing, it was just a thing of beauty. It was just... It was amazing. And in that second wow moment of the night, I'm going to say that, him hitting the attitude adjustment, you can't see me while doing it. That's great. It puts him over as a heel even more. And my third, and this one's going to get people, a little rattled. Ryback winning the Intercontinental Championship. We'll go into a little more detail afterwards. Anthony, what are your top 3 moments of the night?
My top 3 moments of the night are, I'm definitely going to have to put Kevin Owens going over Cena clean. You see people beat Cena, like we've seen CM Punk beat Cena, but some people do say that there was a little distraction
John Laurinaitis. And because of that, I have to hit the gong. People power.
Kevin Owens going over, I really, really did enjoy. Another part of the pay-per-view, I would have to say, and this was also very heartbreaking, Dean Ambrose picking up a win.
You have not stopped talking about that. He's not the champion.
Dean Ambrose getting a win over Seth Rollins. I was so happy that he got the win. It's mostly because Ambrose is such a fantastic performer, and he was on the biggest losing streak for the longest time, and now he's just gotten a pin over the champion. I mean, this is just showing
it's a disqualification win.
I wanted
Ambrose to walk away with it too, but when the referee comes in from outside from the back, runs into the ring after a dirty deed and gets the pin. I was shocked when they did get the 1-2-3, but my first thought was I'm waiting for something to happen, and then when the other referee starts getting up, yep, here it comes, and that one made no sense to me, honestly. If you're a referee, how are you seeing someone push you? How do you know he didn't trip? I mean, I'm being the devil's advocate here, but I mean, that was a very poorly written conclusion to a match that ultimately got the pop you wanted, just not from Corpus Christi because those fans were terrible. What was your last point, actually?
My last point? Oof. I don't know if I want to say another Kevin Owens moment.
I said two, so you can go ahead.
I would have to say, not even the moonsault or the stolen attitude adjustment. I would have to say that reversal from the top rope when Cena was going for. I'm guessing he was
that
going
was
for
amazing
a superplex.
too.
I think he was going for a superplex, and Kevin just reversed it into a fisherman-like suplex
I've
from the
never
top of the
seen
rope.
anybody do it before, and JBL and Cole were both flipping out. We're going to get to the commentary in a few minutes, trust me. There's a reason that I left Lawler out of that. But that suplex, I mean, and I guess to an extent, fans were kind of in awe there. That's the only excuse I can possibly give them, because a lot of the people don't know Kevin Owens or didn't. Now they do. This is a guy who does it all. He really does. And he's not the best at everything, but you wouldn't know it by the way you saw him at Elimination Chamber. That guy put on a show. And that's why I said earlier in the show, you will never see another debut like Kevin Owens ever again. It was that unique. If you saw it, be proud. You just witnessed history. We're going to go into low points now. I think I have 2. I may have 3. But one of them really is, very insignificant to the others. I'm going to start with my lowest low point in the sense of it's not as important. Macho Man now and Axelmania, look, I'm all for doing what you want to do with that gimmick. But why were you with The Miz and the Bryan segment? It made no sense to me. It took away from what Daniel Bryan was saying, and it didn't do anything for The Miz, because now he's in the Intercontinental Championship picture, or so we think, which we'll get into later on in the show. But it made no sense to me, and it actually really irritated me that they're trying to get them involved that badly, where you're getting a Daniel Bryan pop will help them. It won't. Next low point is, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the first one, but the Intercontinental Elimination Chamber match, and I'll actually put both of them in this, both chamber matches underwhelmed. And the reason I put the Intercontinental one above it was because there was more pressure on it. Look, the Tag Team Championship one, it was an experiment. We didn't know what we were going to get, and now we do. It's probably something we will not see again unless they really get some really quality tag teams in there and let them do their thing. Like, let Kalisto fly around a little bit, things of that nature. But the Intercontinental one showed us nothing special, nothing out of the ordinary, and Sheamus was in his pod for most of the match. Which leads me to my number 1 low point of the entire night, the commentary. If I've said it once, I've said it again. Michael Cole is an absolute workhorse. That guy carries that team so much, and it could not be more evident than it was at Elimination Chamber. Other than Jerry Lawler calling everybody else not named Jerry Lawler JR, JBL making inaccurate, and I'm a Jets fan, this pissed me off, inaccurate Jeff references. Joe Namath did not call out the Chiefs. He called out the Colts, and then he beat the Colts. We got the Babe Ruth Wrigley Field. I'm pretty sure that was at Yankee Stadium, but I'm not a Yankee fan, so I wouldn't know for sure. And I think they called Renee Young Sir at one point. That one I'm not 100% sure about, but it wouldn't be the first time that this happened with Jerry Lawler. I know what you've been through, Jerry, but you need to retire. I mean, this is just, it's unfortunate, because commentary carries WWE events, and I'm sorry if I'm ranting about this, but this really irritates me. The fans need to know when to feel something. I know what I feel about wrestlers. But when an announcer tells me, this happened because of this happened because of that, I know that I'm feeling the right way. Whether it's right with the fans, right by myself, right with whatever I need to feel. And the problem that we had last night was that we got nothing. Sheamus keeps himself inside his chamber. He pulls out the cross, and Jerry Lawler says he used it to open up the chamber. I mean, really? Are you that lazy where you're not going to look at the monitor in front of you, might I add? And I feel bad for Cole because Cole couldn't spot it to correct him, because Cole is usually on that. I'm sorry about this rant, but, I mean, it just really irks me that, wow, that they really just missed it with the commentary, with the exception of Cole. Because there are times where you don't know, JBL is a tweener. Cole just does his job, and Lawler is like that comedy, that Brad Maddox was for a little bit. And if I'm insulting Jerry Lawler, I'm not trying to. Just, it's not your thing. It really isn't. And you have Saxton, you have Renee Young, who's being recruited by ESPN and Fox Sports, I might add. So you might want to give her a little bit of a thing we have to call a promotion. Just throwing that out there. Sorry, but not sorry. You have Todd Phillips. You can bring back Scott Sanford if you really want to. I mean, what did you think about the commentary? I think we're just going to focus on that other than the other low points, because that was really what everything revolved around.
I mean, my low points was definitely going to involve the commentary. I mean, commentary felt very lackluster. They weren't on point. Like, at one moment, you have to realize when I watch big wrestling events, I tend to be on my phone, on my computer, watching wrestling.
Like we are right now.
At one moment, exactly. And at one moment, I remember I just got a text message, and I looked down on my phone and I heard JR. And I'm like, what? Did he just call JBL JR? Like, what's happening with King? And a few other moments of the night, commentary just missed it. Especially during that Sheamus moment where commentary didn't even acknowledge the fact that Sheamus was going into his heel character and using the Celtic Cross to keep the door closed. Like,
I'll tell you why they didn't acknowledge it, because it wasn't Sheamus in there. He gave me a call, he had to take a piss, so I went in there, and while he was doing that, they panned on the match, then he bro-kicked me, and I couldn't be seen, and my head was blocking the chamber from opening, right? So he's using his key to pry it out, and that's why Jerry Lawler said that. And if you believe that, we're canceled.
Like, the commentary even said it, like you mentioned, that he used a Celtic Cross necklace to unlock the door or to open the door. Like, come on, we've seen it before. The referees are the ones that unlock the hatchet and slide the door open. So
yeah, it was locked in there. And I wish they actually would have, sorry to cut you off, I wish they showed that at the beginning of the match so they couldn't make that mistake, because he's coming out 6th. You know, if he's coming out 5th and that happens, it's a little more interesting because there's another guy coming out. When you do it at 6th,
there was no point.
Yeah.
They should have just done it like at number 3 or 4, and then, oh man, Sheamus still can't get out. What's happening?
And then everybody knocks himself silly, and then he just pulls it out.
Yeah, then you do that when everyone's on the floor type of deal. I don't know. I feel like they really dropped the ball on that match. The tag title match, this is kind of, I guess, like my top 3s of the
well, yeah, that's what we did. So, you know, by all means, go down the list.
And the final point, which, well, the first point was a commentary. Second point, I guess, was the low keys of the Intercontinental title match.
No pun intended.
And the third part, I guess, would be, and what like you said, I just don't want to bash, but the tag team tornado tag or whatever that chaos was.
Tornado cluster.
I mean, the concept was cool. It was nice for the first like 5-ish minutes.
Or seconds.
And then it just got too many people in the ring. I couldn't keep track of what was happening. And I'm sorry, I want to add this as like my number 1 maybe. Why were people breaking up pinfall?
I wish I mentioned
during
that.
An elimination match.
I think I brought this up to you so many times.
So angry, and I think it was the first thing I messaged you when after I watched the Elimination Chamber. I'm like, Jeremy, why are they breaking up elimination falls? Like, what are you doing? It just got me so angry.
Those who follow me on Twitter, I think I posted something about that because I couldn't believe it either, and I don't know if I removed it or not because of the spoiler aspect, but I don't believe I did. If you're not following me at Twitter, go to @Jeremy_Cook because someone else took underscore because they're not me and they're not as cool as me because I have this show. But anyway, going back on topic and my dreams, it happened in both chamber matches, and it's so funny because I wonder sometimes. But we're going to move on because we have to, and we spent a majority of the show talking about the pay-per-view. We're going to move on, and this is something I'm very happy to report because I am a big fan of this particular wrestler. Samoa Joe has officially signed a full contract with the WWE meaning that after he fulfills his already booked independent dates, he will be an official WWE employee. On top of that, he made his quote-unquote main roster debut, and what I mean by that is he was on Superstars in a dark match, I believe. And they fed him Tyson Kidd. And now, this is where you're going to lose a lot of the confusion, because I was confused too. There's a video out on a few other sites that shows him hitting the muscle buster on Kidd, getting the pin. What they don't show is that Kidd hurt his neck on that, and he might be out a few months. Which is going to lead us into our next point, but I'm going to just bring this up for now. If you're going to bring Samoa Joe in and introduce him on Superstars in a dark match nonetheless, so we won't see it on TV or on the network, why are you feeding him one of your most entertaining commodities in half of Kidd and Cesaro? I mean, I don't get it. These two are great. I ranted about this last week. I really wanted them to win the titles, but I knew they wouldn't. And you put one of them in a match with a guy who's, who no one has seen in a WWE ring? Don't you have local talent that wants to get their butts handed to them? I mean, you did it with Ryback. You did it with Mark Henry for a while. That Colin Delaney guy, you made him an employee. I mean, wow. And it's just nothing on Joe. This is not Joe's fault. This is not Kidd's fault. This is on booking. And you can't do that when you bring a guy like Samoa Joe in. You can't do that. It's not fair to him. No one is going to know that this guy got hurt unless you look at, reports or whatever. It looked like he got hurt. Not only does that take out Kidd and Cesaro as a tag team dynamic, maybe Cesaro gets the push we've all been waiting for him to get, that he deserves. I don't think so. And it's going to be a shame. Because now they lose traction as a tag team because Kidd's out. What do you do with Joe? As far as, people trusting him in the ring. And there's just so much that went wrong. And it didn't have to happen. Being just a local in-ring talent, that's whatever. It's in-ring talent, it's local. That's not your employee. I'm ranting about something, but this... You bring in this guy. It's a huge signing. Could you imagine Kevin Owens injuring someone like... injuring John Cena in his first match on the main roster? Could you imagine how bad that would be for Kevin Owens?
That would actually be extremely bad, which is... I'm totally going to agree with you. I haven't seen, obviously, the Samoa Joe versus Tyson Kidd match, but I did see the Muscle Buster.
Muscle Buster.
I saw him drop the Muscle Buster on Tyson Kidd, and I mean, when you use the word bounce, like people at home listening to this podcast, grab a ball and drop it. That is exactly how it looked like when Tyson Kidd's head hit the ground. It bounced off the ground and literally looked like he landed on his neck again for a second time. Basically hit the Muscle Buster, bounced a bit off the air, and then landed on his neck again, which reportedly, and I am doing the quotes as Jeremy is saying, it received some type of spinal injury. So that doesn't even put Samoa Joe as a legitimate badass. Right now, that just puts Samoa Joe as a reckless worker, which is what I don't think WWE is trying to aim for. But if they would have just gave him a local talent, someone in the area, this probably never would have happened.
Even give him Heath Slater.
That's Zack Ryder, Heath Slater. There's many. I'm sorry, I don't mean to call them jobbers, but they are classified as jobbers.
Heath Slater is a bona fide jobber. He won his first live event match earlier today. In 2015, he is 1-44. He is a jobber everywhere. Anyway, we're...
it's just going off topic, but
not even going off topic.
It's frustrating.
It's not going off topic at all. It's just very...
No. It's a very iffy subject because I don't know what WWE was doing there. Just for the fact that they got Tyson Kidd now injured. You put Samoa Joe name a bit at jeopardy.
Samoa's Joe. Don't you mean Samoa Joe?
Samoa Joe, sorry.
I guess I'm the only one here who likes former TNA superstars. That's just me. I did mention TNA, so here comes the gong. TNA, get your stuff together.
It hurts his image as his first match in, he's already injured not a big superstar, but he's already injured one of WWE's more popular superstars. He just injured former tag team champion Tyson Kidd.
He didn't
what does that
do
do
it,
to
and
him?
I don't agree with you in the sense that he did it, because he has been doing this move longer than Kidd's been wrestling, and Kidd has been wrestling for a long time. This move, maybe Kidd wasn't ready for it, because there's no one else in WWE who's ever done a move like that, ever. There's never been a wrestler who has that kind of, it looks painful. Maybe it's just the way he hit, because the middle of the ring is supposedly the hardest area to hit. Maybe that's where it happened. I don't know, but it leads us into our next topic, and it has to do directly with Tyson Kidd. The WWE is trying to, reportedly, air quotes, I need to get an effect button for that. We'll work on that for later. But apparently they're trying to hide injuries for certain superstars, so it's hard to predict when they return. Now, I have no problem with them trying to hide injuries. I have problem with the reasoning behind it. You don't want to spoil someone's return. How about getting them healthy first? First off, if someone like John Cena gets hurt, there's no way you're hiding it. That's just a fact. There's no way that's being hidden. Plus, you have this thing called Total Divas. So it's not happening. Secondly, you want to do it for the health of the superstar. However long Kidd's out, and we will not know. It may be a month or two, it may be 3. It could be as simple as 2 or 3 weeks off. The point I'm trying to make is, you'll never, in this day and age, you will never shut down the media. We are media. We are as big fans as anybody else. We are media. And one thing we do is we investigate, and we make sure that we know what we're talking about, so when we do shows like this one, we're not pulling our heads out of our asses. We're making sure that what we're telling you is accurate, so you don't go and say something that is false, and then you find that out, you come back to us and say, hey, you were wrong, what's up with this? It's the wrong way to go about it, but it's the right decision. And unfortunately, it came about because of an injury, and if it wasn't Samoa Joe injuring somebody, and by him injuring, I mean the circumstance. Because I don't put this blame on Joe. I do not put this on Joe in any way, shape, or form. He went out there, they told him what to do, and he did it.
Which is, of course, what I meant when I said that he injured him, not actually Samoa Joe. Let's not forget, people, this is a job. This is their job as sports entertainers. There are risks, and unfortunately, Tyson Kidd fell under that possibility of risk of injury. He is, I guess you could say, a victim of an accident performed by Samoa Joe.
Right, and it's all.
I don't think Samoa Joe went out there with the intentions of hurting Tyson Kidd.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, no one ever. You don't want to go out there and hurt somebody. The only one who had that on his mind at all was Andre the Giant, but that was for a different reason. We won't get into that. But we're gonna move on a little bit. We're gonna talk about the Raw after Elimination Chamber, and a lot of stuff happened. Believe it or not, we started off the show with Seth Rollins calling out the Authority. Believe it or not, and if you didn't watch Raw, Anthony, I know you didn't watch Raw. Rare occasion for Anthony, by the way. He's a bigger fan than I am, and we always talk about Raw. We talk about everything. Back when Sandow cashed in Money in the Bank, you were the first one to tell me. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I was driving back from somewhere, and you're telling me he just cashed it in, he smashed in his shoulder with the briefcase, and I'm flipping out in the car, and everyone's looking at me going, what are you doing? And I'm saying, get me home, get me home, get me home. And, this Raw was something I really wish we could have talked about, but we'll talk about it now. What happened was basically Seth Rollins comes out without his title because Ambrose hijacked it. And, they had their rhetoric. Triple H yells for Ambrose to come out. At this point, the entire Authority's in the ring. Reigns comes out from outside with the crowd as usual. He comes into the ring and says Ambrose isn't here, but you'll have a chance for your belt if you give him a ladder match at Money in the Bank. Steph is saying you're not going to get it, and Rollins just slips out of nowhere going, I don't need you, pointing to J&J Security. I don't need that 7-foot piece of crap, referring to Kane. I'm going to prove to everybody I don't need help. You're on. And Steph and Triple H sort of look at each other like, what is he doing? So, that happened, and I really hate that they keep teasing at a Shield reunion, because throughout the night, even when Ambrose was there, the way they were communicating with each other, it looked like, there was very little animosity. It looked like they were just the Shield in 3 different storylines. Moving on from that, though, because that's just a different conversation for a different day, we had a heel turn. And a heel turn I didn't expect to see.
A heel turn, by the way, that I just found out.
Yeah, I did tell him about it, and he was actually pretty shocked about this. Nikki Bella retained her title at Elimination Chamber. In a triple threat match, a clean victory, there was no outside interference because no one was allowed outside of the ring. So, she has a match with Paige because Paige claims real number 1 contendership with the Battle Royal, which is fair. And what ends up happening is Nikki Bella shows her veteran instinct that she learned, and they had been advertising she had learned over the last 6 months, by rolling out of the ring whenever she was in danger of, being pinned or in a susceptible position. So Paige hits the Rampage off the second rope, very well executed. This match was very, very good. I liked it. Nikki rolls out of the ring, and you see an arm come out from underneath the apron, and it's Brie. Now, before you freak out, let me give you a reason to freak out even more. Nikki had her hair just out. Brie had hers in a ponytail. Nikki had blonde tips at the back of her hair. Brie, they tried to do the same thing, but it didn't work. So they switch places. Brie gets back into the ring. Cradle pin, 1, 2, 3. Retains. Heel turn. And I don't understand this at all. They've been trying to preach that Nikki has worked her butt off to become champion, to defend it honorably, blah, blah, blah. She's confident going into a triple threat match, and she wins it clean. Why are you turning her heel? Why? It basically takes away everything you've built up. From saying that she's worked at it, she's done it the right way, and now she cheats. What does that say, WWE? You get a gong for that.
Something about that heel turn. When you mentioned it to me about Nikki Bella's heel turn, along with Brie helping her out, it kind of bothered me with their twin magic, because as well as a lot of my friends do that are wrestling fans, I really cannot stand matches that end in like cradles, roll-up pins. I like to see a finish to a match, like via finisher, via submission. I like to see finishing to matches. But you told me that there was a cradle pin, which is okay, or schoolboy.
As soon as they switched it, I knew that was what was going to happen, because it's what's happened every time. Look at Payback. Wow.
Which once again, it's okay, but there is, and I'm trying to be very PG about this, there is a huge.
If you cannot see what he's doing, which you can't, he's accentuating the fact that Nikki Bella has had an operation done in the past that we're not going to talk about any further because we're a PG show. But I digress from that. We're not hostile. But
yes,
there is a difference.
She's had some enhancement surgery, which clearly you can tell.
We're not trying to be sexist
Brie,
here, Anthony.
And we're not. But you could clearly tell who is Brie and who is Nikki.
The point I was trying to make was with the hair. I was just trying to avoid that, but that completely flubbed. It was a New Day style pin. She didn't let the ref see her face, and they were wearing different ring gear, I think. And now that I think about it, I mean, it was the same, but Nikki's got a bigger body. She's got. I mean, Brie's abs are more defined, but Nikki has bigger arms, and. It's just weird. It's very weird to see it like that. I don't get the point of the heel turn unless you have the idea of her holding the title a little bit longer than we all expect her to. In general, it's just something that I don't really like. Last thing we're going to talk about was Raw, or one of the last 2 things, I should say. John Cena shows us again why not only is he the face of this company, but he's a damn good one. He's having a promo with Kevin Owens. Basically, Owens comes out and says, I'm here. I come back from my match at Elimination Chamber, and my son goes to me, why did you do that to John Cena? And he gets it. He said he gets it. It's that age group. But he does not like it, and he doesn't approve of it. Then Cena comes out and says, you beat me. I was gonna come out here and give you this U.S. title because you earned it. He literally said, I was going to give this to you, and then you said that, and I lost all respect for you because I will never give up. I will never quit. And he points to a girl with a sign saying, "I'm beating cancer." And I tweeted about this. You can go to my Twitter. I already placed my feed earlier. And as he's saying it, he's getting choked up. And he says it again. And the girl's crying at this point. She's absolutely beside herself. She is crying. That is why John Cena is the face of the WWE. He's passionate inside and outside of the ring. He will do anything to make sure that everyone in attendance is happy, or at least touched. And after the promo, John Cena brings the girl into the ring, brings in her sign, and the entire stadium, or the entire arena rather, is just applauding and cheering, and, it's just something that, and you will attest to this, you're not a Cena fan in the ring, but you know that it's things like this that are just absolutely above and beyond, and it makes him so unique as a superstar.
He gave that I don't want to be mean and say child, but he gave that girl.
She was a child. She was a little girl. Yeah. She was a little girl.
He gave her a moment. He definitely that's like equivalent to like a Make-A-Wish Foundation. Like the girl was. I don't know if she was there via Make-A-Wish.
By the way,
the girl was definitely...
You did bring this up, Make-A-Wish. Sorry to cut you off. John Cena has granted the most Make-A-Wish Foundation wishes in the Foundation's history by over 200 wishes. That should just show you how much this guy cares. You were saying?
Like, as you said earlier, I am definitely not a John Cena fan. I am a big anti-Cena, very big John Cena hater. But one thing you cannot take away from the man is he is definitely passionate about his job. He's passionate about the business, and he is passionate about the kids. John Cena will do about anything for the kids. He'll do about anything to put a smile on all the young kids' faces, which is what I have full respect for the guy. And honestly, while I was listening to the promo, you could really hear it in John's voice that he chokes up when he looks at the girl's sign that says, "I'm beating cancer." If I'm not mistaken, Cena actually borderline starts crying. Like his eyes just like get all watery. He just gets touched up. He actually stops the promo maybe for like a second or two, and he like as if he's lost in words and he doesn't know what to say. And Cena's just that much of a good person.
It's not that he only just touches the fans. The fans affect him too, and that's what makes him so humble. Is that he shows how human he is, while doing his best to put on just a show, just to be able to make that girl's life a little bit easier for that one night. And I guarantee you that her life is made a lot easier for a long time to come. And we're actually going to end the show on that note. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for tuning in for last week. The response has been absolutely phenomenal. We're going to keep doing this until you tell us you don't want it anymore, and maybe a little bit after that. Next week we'll talk about the Money in the Bank prediction, our preview, other wrestling news that happened throughout that week. We didn't get to any non-WWE news this week, but there's just been so much going on. It's really hard to pinpoint everything, but we'll try to do it. Until then, I'm Jeremy Cook.
I'm Anthony Mosca.
And until next time, enjoy the rest of Dark Days by Parkway Drive.